Yeah. Review. I,
So
I,
here's the thing.
yeah.
As a general rule, when reviewing comic book movies, I am careful to not risk angering film bros.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck film bros. This is the greatest film ever made. I don't give a fuck it's animated. I don't even want that to be like a bracket put on it. Like, oh, it's the best anime. No, it's the best film ever fucking made. Nothing has ever topped the experience of that.
I, if I can't think. There's nothing on top of like the top of my head that I'm like, nah, that was better. Maybe one. Um. Oh my god, it's just gone out my head.
Can't have been that good.
No, I'm just terrible with names. Um.
Who was in it? What was it about?
Oh, fuck. The one in space with the waves.
Interstellar.
Yes, Interstellar. I'd say Interstellar is an incredible film, and I'm like, it's in the same bracket. They're in the same like top of the mark. Like
I get what you're saying.
I fully agree. Animated, although you don't want to put bracket, like by far the best animated film
No,
ever created.
if we're going to put it in its boxes, it is so clear of every other superhero and animated film.
Yes,
I
one
don't think
hundred
that's
percent.
really up for discussion.
No, and it's up there in the top of the top like greatest films made by
100%.
far. And
I'm willing to say the Spider-Verse trilogy is already the
mhm.
best comic book trilogy, and only two of the films are out. Because there is no way the third one is going to miss that much based on what we've seen.
No, I like we said when Guardians came out that that was the best superhero trilogy. Besides, probably the net one in second to be the Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah.
This just like there's two of them out, and like you say, only two out, and it's already jumped way past Guardians,
Uh-huh.
in my opinion. And it's like it's just not even close anymore. Like we thought Guardians was like, holy shit, this is a great trilogy. This is everything we want. And then just Spider Verse is like, oh yeah, by the way, here's our second one, and you're you're gonna want the third one immediately because it's just there's so many like it's so hard to know where to start with it because it was so incredible in so many different ways. And I think I
Well,
put out a tweet last night with after seeing because I only saw it yesterday,
mhm.
and it's like I mean one I put a message in our group chat that I was just like I was speechless walking out of that cinema, um, and just mentally blown away, and like
I'm just trying to find my tweet now. What did I say?
I then tweeted last night I was like, and I still like today like a day like 24 hours on processing it, so it's like it is very much a love letter to every creative like artist and creative and every comic book fan. Like
100%.
there's so much that they did to honor both those like groups of people and really showcase what they love. And
100%. Like when making a film, everyone involved is an artist in one way or another. In this, obviously, you've got the very obvious like animators, but also the actors are artists, the writers are artists. Everyone, and they were all fully allowed to go out there and be actual fucking artists.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like something I felt like there was quite clearly like it was pure art because there was no at no point does it feel like a label or anything has said no, you can't do that. It literally is what would happen if animators and artists are given 100% free reign to create what they want to create, and that like and no
Yeah,
pressure to like get it done in a certain time, get it in a budget, get it in like line with these things we want to hit. Like that was just like what animation should be and what comic book films should be.
yeah. The characterization of the characters we interacted with, flawless. Voice acting, flawless. The different art styles for each character. Obviously, we'll put more information on that during the breakdown, but
Yeah.
it was all so well put together the writing to take Spot from being this villain of the week joke at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning
Yep.
to holy shit, he is terrifying is so impressive.
Oh, they and like to be able to, I think, take what everyone had high expectations of this film because the first one was so good. And from the trailers they'd shown, everyone was really excited and everyone was loving what was. And obviously, everyone was like, we'll get into it with a breakdown of like what people's theories and stuff going into it and coming out. But it's like they outperformed, I think, anyone's perception of like what this was going to be. And that just shows like how well written, like you said, it was, and how well thought out this story is to really outshine anyone's expectation of where this was going to go.
100%.
And if I think we've said it before, well, we said it after Guardians, and I think this really does cement it. Superhero fatigue is a fucking myth. Like
100%.
it is all just we want great films, whether it's
Tell a good,
animated or live
compelling
action.
story.
Yes, and it's like what's actually happened is people are just sick of surviving off Easter eggs and getting the same boring story with some world life like global threat, and it's like this just doesn't feel
Yeah.
good.
Guardians was about saving a friend,
Yeah,
and then this film is about no, I'm not just gonna let my dad die.
yeah, but it plays into such a bigger story,
Yeah.
but the core of it is so understandable.
Yeah, no actual fucking human going to a cinema can fully understand the scope of, oh, I have to save the universe. Everyone understands that if someone goes, no, you've got to stay here while your dad dies,
Yeah,
no,
and
no one's going to accept that.
that goes back to like that is what comic books often, more often not, the stories in comic books are smaller relatable threats, and they've like taken that premise and transferred it to film and
Yeah,
animation.
100%. Um, it's it's just beautiful top to bottom, and I've never seen a film that is such a part one and not in a
Mm,
bad way.
mm,
Because like even Deathly Hallows Part One, that was underwhelming as fuck. You kind of leave that and you're like, that was such a part one. It's unreal. They're just setting up the next
mm.
one to just
It
have all these set pieces, but it didn't do that.
no, it wasn't
It's
just like
almost
a
like they
setup.
animated like a 5 hour film and went, okay, and then right in the middle,
I you can guarantee they wrote the whole film as if it was gonna be like you say one solid film, and then they were like, "This is like the big arc moment. We're gonna cut it there."
yeah,
There was no like predetermined like, okay, this is gonna be the setup for the second part. So it's just then ends up being just like you say a setup film.
yeah,
But it's just
the film didn't
honestly,
miss. It had
it
everything a
really
film needs
didn't.
to do. Yeah, granted, it doesn't have like cinematography. Guess what? It went, we're going to redefine what animation is.
Yeah,
We grew up on Toy Story, which was mind boggling at the time and is still very impressive. This is something else.
yeah. This is what happens when artists and creatives like an animators, that side of things, are set free to do what they want to do. I can guarantee, and I'll say this now, every artist that worked on that film should be incredibly proud of what they produced
Hmm.
because, like, you could see that there was no boundaries set and they were allowed to just make art.
Without making it too breakdowny just yet, for instance, the animation of Spider Punk. They
Yeah,
said they spent 2 years just working out how they wanted to do that, like prototyping different ways of how they were going to do that before they landed on the final design. Like that is,
yeah,
it shows the dedication to getting it right.
that's something else. Like, I'm sure we'll get into more in the breakdown, but the way that they were able to, although this is a Miles Morales story, all the characters we were introduced to didn't feel like just side characters. They were done in such a way and so well done that like they each got their moment and their time to shine in whether it was their art style or how they were presented, like the who played them. Like, and then it all got melded together. And I think that also shows like just the time and effort put into making sure that each of those characters did
Yeah.
feel valuable
But
in the
I
grand scheme
think
of
I
things.
think I think another big part of it as well is a lot of the time when you talk about them great trilogies, a lot of the time people talk about the foreshadowing and the parallels
Hmm.
and stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, they were there. All of them were there. All of the foreshadowing, all of, and like even now, my TikTok feed all week has just been people pointing out new parallels or new bits of foreshadowing from the first film that
Mm.
at the time no one even noticed.
Yep.
That this just shows that this was always they were always hoping they could make this their trilogy they had in mind. They just needed the first one to get them going.
Yep.
And like although the animation in the first one was so phenomenal, this was all a lot crisper because they clearly had more money and more time to focus on it.
It's almost like the first one was in
Proof of
like
concept.
yeah, literally it was like a proof of concept of like, okay, we have this style we want to go for and these ideas with like how we want to do the animation that hasn't been done before. They did it. Everyone fucking loved it and was so impressed with the way that they did things. Like with the, it's mentioned many a times, but the fact that Miles was edited on twos or whatever, and then switched to ones later down because he got
Yeah.
smoother with his abilities. Things like that were all proof of concept of like an idea that they knew themselves would be really cool, but they don't know that the viewers are going to enjoy that.
There are always going to be things that an artist enjoys
Hmm.
that the normal consumer won't even notice.
And
And you've got to find a way to hit that middle ground.
yeah, and I think because the first one did so well, like you said, this one just felt like everything was dialed up to 11 from the first one. There was like so many like it was crisper and so many extra things that were like quite clearly ideas they've had of how to like to add to the feel of it, which I'm sure we'll get into in the breakdown. But
100%. Um,
by
but
far the best film of the year, without a doubt.
without a doubt. And here's the thing: I'm actually like I'm still excited for the Flash. It ruins
Fuck
the
the
Flash
Flash.
though. It ruins it completely. No, no. We jokingly said last week this is going to end up being the last episode because we're going to both leave that and go. There is no way anything ever tops that. Cinema has peaked.
Yeah, we'll be back in a year for part two.
Yeah. And honest to God, I was sat in the car after watching it with my girlfriend. I was like, when we made this joke, it's not fucking far off. I was fully like, how do I ever go and watch something ever again and expect to enjoy it?
What's harder as well, I think, is the current state of the MCU. It's like we've said throughout doing this podcast, DC and Sony have very low bars. So we expect like we go into everything like they've given us nothing to like prove that they know what they're doing, sort of thing. So it's like when a film from DC has been mediocre, kind of like Shazam and I mean Black Adam as well. We're going, oh yeah, that was kind of good from DC.
They're not getting worse.
Yeah. Whereas like Marvel, we've had the high, now they've dipped a bit, and then we've got over here. Spider Verse is like, hey, by the way, this is what Spider Man can be, and now we're gonna go back to MCU and be like, bro, what are you doing? You had it, and where have you've just dropped it? Like it's
Yeah,
just raised the bar on all like animation and superhero films and just cinema.
it is.
It's
It's exactly what cinema should be.
yes,
Um, and if I don't think these people are fewer and fewer as each year passes. If there is still some idiot out there who goes, I'm not going to watch that, it's animated, it's for children. You are the child if you think you are too good for animated media. You are the child, not the child enjoying the animated media. You, because they were
it's
able to capture emotion that no actor could.
oh the honestly, anyone that sits there still and goes, "Oh, don't watch it because it's animated," you know
Grow
what?
up.
Well, one, grow up, but you know what? Fine. It would be
More for
waste.
me.
It would be wasted on you, and you don't deserve to enjoy that. So you can sit in your corner and watch your Fast and Furious 10 Part 2,
Yeah,
and yeah, we'll enjoy the good stuff.
right.
Breakdown time.
No, before we get into the
Oh.
breakdown, last part of the review. Who was your favorite character? I know you know who mine is.
Oh. Who was my favorite character? Honestly, I there's so many different reasons why I like so many of them, like for different reasons.
It truly does feel like one of them times where you're like, okay, I love them all, but if I absolutely had to have a favorite,
Mm, I'm gonna go Spider Punk.
yeah.
Yeah, I think purely because like his performance, like you say, I love them all, but like there's certain things that I loved multiple of from him. Like I love the way they animated him. I love the style they went for, and I love the way that just the way his character was done and portrayed.
So if you had to have a guess, who do you think my favorite character was?
Spider Punk. Yeah, it was
Toby,
that.
Toby Brown.
Yeah, it was that, or you were gonna turn around and go, "I really liked Andy Samberg's
He
Scarlet
was very
Spider."
good as Ben Riley. But I mean,